IOM Radio Network, the world's conscious broadcasting network. Live on iTunes and archived on iHeartRadio, the voice of consciousness. And now, join Shay Parker's Best of the Best, offering celebrity guests, lively discussions, hot topics, free psychic readings, and expert guest hosts. Simply the best in spiritual and metaphysical talk radio. Listen live on your phone or device using our universal mobile player. No app needed. Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Find out more at bestamericanpsychics.com.
Hello, everybody. This is Allison Hayes, the Rock Girl, coming to you live from Asheville, North Carolina. Welcome to the Rock Girl Unleashed, empowering your wild within. Oh, I need to empower myself a little bit. I do apologize. I've had a tad bit of a cough, but we are all good. Perhaps it's a throat chakra issue. Anyway, it's a timely topic because we are going to actually be discussing the topic of speaking spirit tonight. All right. So basically, the write-up goes as such. We will be talking about decoding the secret signs and symbols from spirit and discovering the hidden messages that are being sent to you. Tonight, I'm going to talk about some of my personal experiences with speaking spirit, and we are going to take a closer look at how the universe may be trying to private message you. So that is the hot topic of tonight, speaking spirit. But let's see. I want to talk about some little newsy events about the upcoming stuff and what's going on in the world of the Sacred Stone School these days. A lot of changes, folks, a lot of changes. So let's talk about the school first. I will be teaching a Lemurian seed crystal class in July 22nd and 23rd, to be exact, of this summer, 2017. And that is probably going to be my last workshop at the Rock Girl Sacred Stone School for a while in Asheville, because I will be going to Japan for about 8 months a year, in starting this summer, going into 2018 and going into 2019. And I will be teaching a healer certification in the summer and the fall in Japan, and I'll be teaching a psychic certification in the winter, spring in Japan. And so with that said, I probably won't be in Asheville a lot. So if anybody's interested in coming down, do come down for the Lemurian Seed Crystal Workshop this summer in Asheville, Visit with the Stones. And by the way, a lot of people are asking about the retreats and the trips to Bimini, Bahamas. And I usually do them every year, and it's a Lemurian Seed Crystal kind of retreat. And in order to go on those, the prerequisite is to take the Lemurian Seed Crystal class. And again, the last one is this summer for a couple of years, and I will be going to Bimini. I'm not sure about spring of 2018, but definitely 2019. So do come and take that class if you have any interest at all in going to Bimini, where we talk to the dolphins and we hang out with the sand, the sea, and the stones, and contact your Lemurian guides. It's a very sacred isle, and I just love it there. So we are going to go with a group in the spring of 2019. So if you're interested, email Marla at info@therockgirl.com. Okay, now let us see. All right, so that was a newsy event. I am going to be doing one more live event in the U.S., and that is in November, but that is in Pennsylvania, Doylestown, Pennsylvania. I go there every year. This year I'm going in October. It's called the Return to Roots Tour. I am doing a Crystal Skull extravaganza on one weekend, and we learn about the history of crystal skulls one day, and then we channel the skulls next. And I'll be bringing a lot of my own skulls from Asheville for people to channel, and we will have skulls, crystal skulls for purchase. And by the way, that is another prerequisite for the planetary gridding program that goes to Bimini. So if you're interested, I will be in Doylestown, Pennsylvania in November. The exact dates will be on my website. I'm also doing a Psychic 1 class, up there in November. That's a 2-day class as well. I will be doing a lecture in the evening on one of the nights, and that's going to be about the frequency of stones and how stones work and all that good stuff. And I'll also be doing a psychic gallery. That's where I do open live mic readings, psychic readings to a group of people, and those are always fun. So that's going to be another evening, and then I will be doing a week of in-person readings, Monday through Friday. And so if you're interested in in-person readings, that's the only place I'll be this year live, is Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Just check out my website, therockgirl.com, and look for the Return to Roots banner. Click on it, and all the info will be there. I also, next year, will be doing a cruise. I actually just got back from the Intuition Cruise. We went to the Mayan ruins. Oh, my gosh, that was so much fun. I loved that cruise, visiting Costa Maya. We went to Cozumel. We went to the Cayman Islands, and we saw all of these Mayan ruins, and they were so gorgeous and so amazing, and the energy was so off the charts. So I would go back there in a heartbeat. And it was a fun cruise. John Holland, Lisa Williams, Denise Lynn, and Colette Barron-Reid were the headliners. And I went to every one of their lectures, and they were so amazing. Their galleries, their lectures, I just couldn't get enough. I, of course, myself, I did live readings on the cruise, and I also did some lectures. But the highlight, I have to say, I don't know, it's like a toss-up between going to all of those classes and going to the Mayan ruins. So I just had a ball. In fact, I had so much fun that I'm doing another cruise next March. It's called the Passion and Purpose Cruise. There's a lot of big names on there, too. Kim Russo, the Happy Medium, along with a slew of other empowerment speakers. And I will be on that cruise doing readings and empowerment lectures, and I will have empowerment stones. And that is March 18th through the 25th, 2018. So I'll be doing that. It's leaving out of Fort Lauderdale. It's going to St. Thomas, Nassau, Bahamas, and St. Kitts. So it's a 7-day cruise, and I'm very excited about that. So those are all the new and upcoming events here in Asheville, North Carolina. And also, Debbie and Tammy, if you're listening, don't worry, we still have you on the map for your planetary gridding level 2. Actually, no, planetary gridding AP 3 and 4 classes. So, yes, I know I said I was teaching one last workshop that's open to the public. And, of course, we have you guys always in December. So never worry about that, because your stones are here waiting for you. So I needed to clarify that. And let's see what else is new. I think that's it. I have a lot of travel plans to Japan this summer and fall and winter and next spring that we're going to actually talk about in a few minutes. We're going to be coming up to break shortly, but the trip that I just got back from, I just went to Japan for the Power Stone Healer graduation. We had a year-long class of over 100 people who study to be Power Stone Healers. And instead of crystal healers, they call them Power Stone Healers over in Japan. And these students were just off the charts amazing. I'm so proud of them, and it was so much fun. And they actually, my visit there and the seminar that I taught last week actually inspired this radio show on, Do You Speak Spirit? And we'll talk more about that as to why it was such an inspiration when we get back after the break. Well, I think we have time. I'll tell you real fast before we get a break. I was in Japan, and, I have an interpreter who walks around with me and interprets and everything. And I understand Japanese to a certain point, but after that it's just lost on me. However, when we were, the last day of class, I was testing them, and we were doing psychic readings. And it's interesting because when I'm teaching, I actually need the interpreter when I'm going over curriculum. But when the students were doing the actual readings, I understood exactly what they were saying because they were doing psychic readings and they were speaking spirit. So there's something really, really amazing that happens when we all connect to spirit and start communicating with spirit on the other side, because it doesn't turn into one language or another. It turns into a universal language, that everyone can understand if you learn how to speak spirit. And after the break, I'm going to go into the different steps on how you can speak spirit, the universal language. And it was so amazing because we had everyone, pair up in partners, and one person would read and the other person would be the sitter and ask the questions. And then after 15 minutes, we'd switch, and they would read for each other, and then after another 15 minutes, they would find new partners and do it over and over again. And so it was astounding how clear the messages came through, and I was able to understand them in spirit, in psychic language. And I wasn't speaking English anymore, and they weren't speaking Japanese anymore. We were speaking spirit, which was one of the most mind-blowing and a truly awe-inspiring experience that I've had up to date. So I'd like to talk more about that in detail when we come back from break, about how you too can speak spirit. And then after that, we are going to talk about some stones that can help you speak spirit. Now, it is 8:15, and I'm waiting for this music to come up. Ah, there it is. Yes, the music is coming up. All right, this is our cue to go to commercial break, folks. We'll be right back.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Have you wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hi, this is Shay Parker, founder of bestamericanpsychics.com. If you are a professional psychic or medium and are looking for a group of like-minded individuals that are truly supportive of one another, Best American Psychics is the place for you. Or if you're not a psychic but you're in need of guidance regarding love, money, career, and more, please visit our directory. Each psychic is double tested and approved for accuracy, professionalism, ethics, and more. bestamericanpsychics.com, a new league of professional psychics.
So, I'm a dog, and I'm kind of new to this family, but I've noticed a trend. My humans do this thing where they go around and get all my toys and hide them in this basket. But it's always the same basket, and it's always the same place. And then they act so surprised when I find them. But I'm like, hello? That's where you put it last time. Humans are the worst at hide and go seek.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to The Rock Girl Unleashed, Empowering Your Wild Within. And we are talking about signs and symbols from spirit today. So I was just talking to you about my trip to Japan before we went on break. And I was describing how when we started doing the psychic readings that I didn't need an interpreter anymore because I understood what my students were saying. And so how did that happen? How does that happen? Well, it's interesting because the way that I train my psychics to read, is they need to contact the guides, and then basically they ask the guides what they want to say, and then they relate it to their client, okay? And so when I train my students psychically to connect with the spirit guides, it's basically like talking to another person. And you're just talking to a spirit guide. And how I like to do it is, if I'm doing a reading for you out in the audience, okay, and you ask me a question, should I take this job? Then what I do is I don't look into you, I look past you, and your guide will be right there, right next to you, and I'll ask the guide, should, so-and-so take this job? And I can either say it out loud or and repeat what you just asked me, or I can do it in thought. And I can ask them telepathically, should Jane take this job? And they will automatically respond. And they will respond by either I will hear the word yes, or I will see the word yes, or they will show me certain symbols that represent yes, like a thumbs up. A lot of times they'll take a flag and wave it like full speed ahead. When you start a car race and they lower the flag, like boom, like that. So that's when I know, yeah, go ahead. And when they give me a thumbs up, it means like, yes, go ahead. And when they bring the flag down, it means ready, set, go, hurry up and do it. Okay, there's a sense of urgency about it. And so on and so on and so on. So if I'm doing a reading for someone and the guides show me a white cake with blue roses, like a birthday cake but with blue roses, I know that it's somebody's anniversary coming up. All right, it's usually it's a wedding anniversary or it's a wedding anniversary or a celebration of an anniversary of some type. One time they showed me the cake and then they showed me a house that was green with black shutters, and I said, and then they showed me a number, 12. And so I knew that it was the 12th year that they had celebrated living in that house, and that there was something very important about that. And then they actually went and they showed me a child, meaning their first child was born then too, and then it was actually their birthday. So this is just an example of how the guides can give me signs and symbols so I can understand what they're saying on the other side. And also, it's like a game of charades. They're showing me a symbol. So instead of typing out the words, which A is going to take a long time, and B, it takes a long time for the guides to do that, and then B, it takes a long time for me to read it. And if they just show me a symbol, then a lot of times a symbol speaks 1,000 words. They may show me a picture of a beach at sunset, and it may have rocks on the beach, so I'll know that it's a beach probably up in the northeast and at sunset, and they give me not only the location but also the time, sunset, and a lot of times they can show me what time of year it is. And so that's how you can develop this symbolism of signs and symbols with your guides in order to have this communication. And so when I was coaching my psychic students over in Japan last week, I would tune in to the spirit guides around them who spoke the universal language, and they were giving the information in signs and symbols, so I understood what the people were saying to each other, the student and the person reading and the person who was being the client. So it was very interesting because I understood the whole thing, and then, of course, I went to coach them, thinking they would understand what I'm saying, but I'm speaking English, and they looked at me with these big eyes, and then I was like, oh, I need the interpreter. So, it was kind of funny because I just kind of jumped right in there and just started speaking English, like that, and they were like, what? How do you know what we're saying? And I did. I understood spirit. So let's break that down a little bit more, okay? So it's really an alphabet. It's a vocabulary of signs and symbols that the spirit can speak to me and anybody else in. But it takes a while to develop that vocabulary. Not everybody has the same vocabulary. So if the guides show me one single red rose, all right? So before I tell you what that means to me, if you're listening to the show, I want you to think of what one single red rose means to you. So if your guide showed you one single red rose, what does that mean? It could be meaning love. Well, that's great, but what kind of love, right? It could be an engagement, it could be a proposal, it could be an anniversary, and so on and so on. And so the guides will get very specific with you if you allow them to. A lot of people, get red roses love. Okay, but you can ask your guides for more information. What kind of love? Oh, is it engagement? Is it a date? The more specific you ask the more detailed the question you ask Spirit, the more detailed you get back. So for me, the guides kept showing me a single red rose, a long stem rose, and that meant that somebody had just died. And I know that sounds awful, okay? It really does. But whenever I would see a long stem rose, I knew that whoever I was reading for just lost someone, and that someone is probably going to come through in a mediumship reading. So I do both psychic readings, which is past, present, future for people living in this lifetime, and then I also do mediumship, which is speaking to people who passed over. So my guides started to show me when I was doing a reading for a mediumship. Well, people don't even have to ask. I mean, I'm doing a psychic reading, and all of a sudden the guides show me one red rose, one red long stem rose, and then all of a sudden, Aunt Clara would come through, their mother, their ex-husband, their whatever, grandfather, whoever was on the other side. That was a symbol for me to know that now somebody who wants to come through from the other side. And one red rose comes from putting it on the casket, right? A lot of people have red roses and leave them on the casket, and I thought, oh, God, how maudlin, how depressing. But that's a really good example of you can't pick your symbols, okay? I would like one single red rose to mean engagement, okay? Proposal, that's what I want it to mean. I even asked the guides, can we do that? Well, they want to do the other one. They want to do the red rose when someone from the other side comes through. So that's what it is. So it was up to me to learn. So your question was probably, okay, well, if there's signs and symbols, how do we know what they are? How do we choose them? And, how do we know it's for us? Well, use the example I just told you of the guides showing me one single red rose, and then someone who had passed over is now entering into the conversation and, wants to engage in this reading, okay? So you don't really choose. The guides tell you. Listen, the guides are smarter than we are. They've been around a lot longer, and they've been doing this reading stuff a lot longer than we have. And so what you want to do is kind of pay attention to the signs and symbols that Spirit's giving you, all right? So no matter how hard you try, how focused you are, how much you want, this symbol to mean something, the universe and the guides always do it better. So just be a good student and listen to what they say. Which brings me to the second point is you have to practice. Practice, 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 practice. So many people come into class and they're like, well, I'm psychic and I get this and I get that. I'm like, okay, great. What are the signs and symbols that the guides speak to you with? What do you mean by that? And then, here we go. Thus another catalyst for this radio show tonight, okay? So you just have to listen and pay attention. And we all did it. We all learned the alphabet, right? There's 26 letters in the alphabet. And books are written with 26. Entire books are written with 26 letters. Like, look at the internet. Look at the printed word. Look at all of the books and the blogs and articles out there. They're all done within 26 symbols. So you don't have to have a gazillion symbols to be a good psychic. You just have to have some really good ones, right? And so you have to practice doing your readings and connect to Spirit and ask them to help you and ask them to show you more. And pay attention. If a guide is showing you, a symbol, then do your best to figure out what the symbol means. Another really good example is I was actually on that intuition cruise, and I was getting a reading. Lisa Williams, the fabulous medium that she is, was doing mediumship gallery. And, she brought through my aunt and my mother and my grandmother, who were all in spirit. And she said, they're showing me an apple, they're showing me an apple, they're showing me an apple. Do you know what that means? Now, for Lisa, whatever the apple was her message. But my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt were all showing me an apple. And I said, yes, absolutely, I know what that means. That means New York City. I used to live in New York, and I used to have the Rock Room in New York. I still have the Rock Room in New York. And so all three of my aunt, my grandmother, and my mother were talking about New York City, and they told Lisa that by showing her an apple. So that's another symbol. And every time I talked about New York in readings, or even when I was reading for other people, an apple symbolized New York City. So that was another way. And it takes a while, folks, reading after reading after reading, to get these symbols down. We're going to be going to break in just a few minutes, but when we come back, we are going to talk about how we can help build our vocabulary with Spirit a little faster with some tools of the trade right after the break. But while you're on break, you might want to take a minute and think about what Spirit has been trying to say to you and what symbols may have been coming through. All right, there's that music, folks. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Spiritual, metaphysical, green living, psychic, alternative healing, life coaching. Do any of these or similar terms apply to your business or cause? If so, you are in a niche market with a very specific audience. Conscious Gate PR is the world's leading conscious public relations agency. With a global reach of over 4 million and growing, we offer comprehensive media campaigns to our targeted market. Learn more at ConsciousGatesPR.com. Conscious marketing for conscious minds.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom. I had no idea how hard it would be and what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and ways for me to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics, but also information about the hurdles I was facing.
Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Rock Girl Unleashed, Empowering Your Wild Within. We are talking about speaking spirit tonight. I like to speak spirit. It's a lot easier for me, and it's usually pleasant. So anyway, we were talking about speaking spirit and how the guides will show you symbols and signs, and that once you get to know them, they can speak 1,000 words and bring a lot more detail and accuracy to your readings, a lot more information as well. I was, giving you some personal examples that I have had about the apple and about the white cake with the blue roses, and then, of course, the one long stem red rose. And those are all symbols that have repeatedly shown up throughout my readings with other people and my readings from other people. And I have learned after doing this for years that those mean certain things to me, and when I see them, they can just show me an apple and I can see New York City, and then after that they may put some more information after that. So it's a bunch of lexicons is what it is, vocabulary that spells out the secret message, which I find amazing and fascinating, and I love doing them. All right, but if you're having trouble getting started and you don't think that Spirit has given you any symbols, don't give up. Just instead of trying to figure it out, just moving forward, look for repetitive signs and repetitive symbols. All right. So I'll talk about that first. Even if you're not a psychic and you're just tuning into your intuition. All right. Pay attention to synchronicities that occur over and over and over again. For a lot of people, the signs are very simple but very obvious. A lot of people who drive in their car, they pay attention to the songs that come on the radio. And if you hear a certain song over and over and over again, I know someone who drives to work every morning in New Jersey, and it doesn't matter whether she leaves at 8 o'clock, 8:15, 8:20, a certain song comes on and greets her every morning. So I forget what it's called, but it has the word good morning in it or something, and that's just the way of Spirit saying good morning. And other songs, if you listen to the words in them, they may have pertinent information for you. One of my students actually, she, was driving home from work, and like 3 days in a row, there was some song on there that said, better check on your boyfriend or keep an eye on your boyfriend. He's a cheater. He's not telling the truth. So she thought, well, that's kind of weird. Well, and so what she did was she stopped by his house. It wasn't their date night or whatever, but she drove by his house on the way home to her home, and she noticed a strange car outside of his house when he told her he wasn't going to be home. And long story short, he was seeing somebody else. I kid thee not. This is how Spirit works, okay? And she said, after I got in the car and I was driving home, and it was the third time I heard that song, I thought I'd at least drive by and just, prove to myself that I was overthinking it. And sure enough, she drove by, and there was a car there. And then she drove by the next day, and the same car was there. And she just thought it was weird. And then finally, after 2 or 3 times, she made an unexpected, hey, I'm driving by, I'll stop by your house. And he was like, oh, I'm not home, blah, blah, blah. And lo and behold, he was home, and so was his new friend. So these are ways that Spirit can speak to you. And songs are a huge, obvious one, all right? Another one are signs, okay? A lot of times people will be driving down the highway and they'll see a sign. Do you need to get your oil changed? That's another one. This is great. One of my friends, again, who lives up in New Jersey, she was driving along, blah, 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 and she looks up and there was a sign, hey, for, Valvoline or some, quick oil change thing. And she said, I've driven past the sign like every single day for months now, and I just looked up and I saw it, and it says, do you need your oils changed? And she looked down, and her oil didn't need to be changed, but then she decided to go and get her oil checked anyway, and her oil did need to be changed. Her change oil light was just out. So isn't it weird that, it is weird. I shouldn't say it's weird. It's very synchronistic that Spirit speaks to you through signs and symbols. Another one, our license plates. A lot of people see messages on license plates all the time. And if one happens to catch your eye and grabs your attention, that's what you're looking for, okay? I don't want you to go out and look at everybody's license plate. But if you're, cruising along and something grabs your attention, whether it is a billboard, whether it is a sign, whether it is a license plate, or even a song, that feeling, that moment when something grabs your attention. Humor me. Let's just play a game, a rock roll game. Just go with it for a while and see what happens, okay? Another sign or symbol a lot of times that shows up are colors. When I see this color over and over and over again, I know that I better pay attention to it, okay? So for a while there, I was seeing red, 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 red. I kid thee not, I taught a class, and every single person wore some form of red that day. all right, or I pulled up next to a bright red car when I was going to Whole Foods, or I turn on my computer and there's a big red message, on Facebook. And so what I like to do is if Spirit is showing me that synchronistic occurrence of the same color over and over again, I will Google the metaphysical meaning of red. Okay, and I also know the colors of the chakras, all right? And so if you get red, orange, yellow, green, any of the primary colors, I always go to the chakras and say, hey, I'm seeing red a lot. So let me take a look. I know that means root chakra. Let me read the meaning of root chakra and see what the guides are trying to say to me. Now, if it's a color that is not a primary color like magenta or, violet or silver, you can Google the metaphysical meaning of that and they can give you some more information. And so this is like one big treasure hunt game. I love these things. I used to love those holiday books when we were little. Remember the holiday books with like all of the hidden things in the tree, like the spoon and the book in the tree, and you go hunting for them. So that's what Speaking Spirit is like for me. It's a game, and it's fun, and it's so rewarding. And not only can I help myself, I can help others, and I can actually make a living off of this fun game, and I love it. Back to my root chakra thing, okay? So during that time when I was seeing red, I was going through a divorce. I was dropping his name, picking up my name, and, root chakra is all about I am and identity. And I realized that the guides were having me notice all of this red, bringing my attention to the root chakra and the phrase I am. And I am now single. I am now divorced. I am now attempting to be a very successful businesswoman. I am now, a full-time professional psychic. And so I had to really define the I am and become all of the new I ams instead of I am married. I am Mrs. So-and-so. I am living in New Jersey because I'm not anymore. I am living in North Carolina. And so noticing that color red over and over and over again helped draw my attention to some issue that I had to really take a look at and redefine. So colors are another really big symbol of what's going on. Another one are animals, totem animals all the time. I have a student who sees birds all the time. It's funny. She actually, when she's at the Rock Girl Sacred Stone School, she interns a lot, and she's always noticing the geese. And I go there every single day, and I don't notice the geese, but every day it's the geese get the geese. And so I'm like, you have to look that up. And she Googled the totem, and lo and behold, the message that was brought to her by the geese were flying over my head too, don't get me wrong, but I didn't notice them. They did not draw my attention, and she did. And so they were also flying in the formation of a V. So then, we had her Google V and what that stood for. And so it's really cool how the guides point all of these symbols out to you. And so a lot of times people will, and now when we talk about animals, we're not talking about your totem animal, like my totem animal is a bear or my totem animal is a horse. Not kind of forcing it to happen, okay? And I'm not saying your totem animals are forcing it. I'm just saying that when you are getting signs from the universe, they may show up in the form of a totem animal, okay? Another one is you may see a black cat all the time, or you may see a yellow dog. So you Google yellow and you Google dog. That's how to do it, is Google it separate. Don't Google yellow dog. You want to take a look at the word yellow and Google it, and that's obviously the solar plexus. It's about taking action. It's the warrior-warrioress energy, and dog is loyalty, okay? And so it's basically saying be loyal to yourself and take action on what it is that you really, really want to do. What cause are you fighting for? What action do you need to take? And you may want to do something, but you're not getting a lot of support from your family or friends, but that yellow dog is coming across your path, and Spirit is trying to draw your attention to it, saying, listen, yellow is moving on, and it's action, and dog is loyalty. Stay true to yourself and keep going. So there, that was a really simple yet effective read on that situation, which is a true situation, by the way. But instead of just saying, wow, I saw all these yellow dogs in the last couple of days, you can really understand what the guides are trying to say to you, because they are there. They are guides, and that's what their job is to guide us by giving us symbols and signs and hints in which way to go. How many of us wake up every day confused? We have big decisions to make. We don't know what to do, whether they're work-related, family-related, life-related, and so on. There are answers all around us. There are answers everywhere. We just have to pay attention. And listen, it's paying attention, which means being awake and aware. It doesn't mean that you have to go out seeking, and it doesn't mean you have to go collect the answers and to force them and then try and figure them out. It's just that guides are very kind, and the universe is very good to us. And they did not drop us down here on planet Earth to kind of blindfold us and have us fumble our way through life. We are very good at doing that by ourselves, by the way, okay? But they are here to help give us directions, to give us facts, okay, so we can take a look at them and decide on where to go. I always explain to my students, listen, the guides are there to give us information, and it's up to us in human form to make the decision of what's best for us. That is one of our human, our human jobs on this planet, is to make choices. The guides can give us directions, but we have to actually get in the car, turn it on, and go, or decide not to. Deciding not to or doing nothing is still making a decision. It's deciding to do nothing. So don't think that you can get off the hook. We are always given choice, and we are given the guidance by the signs and symbols delivered to us from Spirit. And again, we don't have to just sit there quietly and take notes. We can interact with our spirit guides. We can ask questions, right? We can just ask the guides to show us more. So if they're giving us a yellow dog, then I know I have to take action and stay loyal to myself, but I can say to the guides, can you show me more? Here comes this beautiful music. Can you show me more? And usually more information is delivered thereafter. All right, we're going to go to break, and then we're going to wrap up the last part of this show with more information on signs and symbols. Be right back, folks.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Hello, everyone. We are back here at The Rock Girl Unleashed, Empowering Your Wild Within, with me, The Rock Girl, Allison Hayes. So we are talking about how to speak spirit, all right? We went over a bunch of examples of, signs and symbols that I've experienced in, my lifetime, and I've given you some examples of some of my students. And I wanted to take this last segment to add in some other ways that you can practice, okay? So, if you're not, if you're getting a bit frustrated or bewildered and looking for the signs and symbols, what you can do is you can practice and learn a new language. Oracle cards and tarot cards are excellent for that, absolutely excellent. And in my psychic development classes, I use the John Holland Psychic Tarot deck to teach my students the signs and symbols, because we use it as an exercise tool. And, in my classes, I go over, the definitions of all of the clairs, the 5 clairs of seeing, hearing, smelling, knowing, and so on. We also work with rocks to help activate and accelerate our psychic abilities, and we also have to learn the psychic vocabulary. And so John Holland's Psychic Tarot deck is amazing. I love that one because it has cards, and the outsides. They're every different. They're broken up into segments, okay? And it's based on the traditional tarot card. However, they have different colors around the outside, and they have the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and so on. So they incorporate the chakras into that as well. And then they also have the layers of the auric field. They have spiritual cards, mental cards, emotional cards, physical cards, and soul cards. And they're basically denoted by the colors around the outside of the cards, black, purple, green, blue, and red. And so I find that they are the most straightforward and direct cards, the way that they're set up, and they have a lot of information in them. Not only do they have the colors around the outside for the chakras and the auric field, but they also are not as complex as the traditional tarot deck, but they're based on the same architecture of the tarot deck. And the artwork is amazing because there's so many symbols buried in the artwork. Not only are they beautiful, I've seen a lot of beautiful cards, and completely outstanding beautiful cards. But not only are these beautiful, but there's so many messages buried in them. In the Solitude one, there's a woman looking at a book, and if you look closely, one page is written on and one page is empty, and it really means take time to figure out how to write the rest of the book. And it's just, I love them. There's so many symbols. And so after my students start working with the John Holland cards, it's like Spirit giving them cue cards and prompting them to get the messages and bring them through, because on the tarot cards are also messages, so it kind of helps you learn the messages, but then they'll show you symbols. And it's interesting because, there's a firm foundation card, and it's a man with his back to you looking at a mountain. And the symbol in there is a triangle. And so whenever some of my students see a triangle and it's a red, it means firm foundation, you're walking on solid ground. And so that's what we do, is introduce that into Psychic 1 and Psychic 2. We go into signs and symbols. And there's another card with someone taking off a mask, and it means kind of take off your glasses, your rose-colored glasses, and see what's really in front of you. Another one is obstacles and challenges, and it looks like someone kind of jumping over a log that's broken. And some people read it like, oh, there's something coming up, but you'll be able to get through the obstacle and challenges. And then another one of my students saw it as take a leap of faith, leap over the broken part of the log and continue on the healthy part of the log, take a leap of faith. And so there you have two different meanings. One is there's obstacles coming up, but you can get through it, and another one is take a leap of faith. So as long as that student and that client are getting accurate readings, it doesn't matter. Your signs and symbols don't need to be the same as everybody else's. which is great, and you begin to develop your own vocabulary. There are a lot of other amazing cards out there. I know that Colette Baron-Reid has her Oracle School, and she has a lot of different Oracle cards, and I'm actually, I just met her on the cruise, and I was working with her cards, and I can't get enough of them. So there's a whole other vocabulary that I'm learning because of those cards. And, of course, me being the rock girl, I have the stones. And, I'm not going to lie to you. I just, as soon as I saw stones, as soon as I could walk, I knew what they meant. I would like to say that I have studied long and hard through this 50 years of life on the planet that I have so far, to study the stones, and that I study them. I mean, I can tell you I studied John Holland's cards, and I'm studying Colette Baron-Reid's cards, but I didn't study the stones. I just walked into this life, and I knew how to speak stone before I even knew the English alphabet, okay, or the English language. And so I just looked at a stone, and I knew what it meant. And then I started studying the metaphysical properties of them, and I'm like, oh my God, like, how did I know that? And it's not like knowing from my head. I knew from my heart. And so obviously I had a really good teacher in another lifetime to be able to instill that kind of knowledge in me this lifetime. And so, if you put any stones together, I start reading them because as they spell out words and messages. And if one person pulled 5 stones and the same exact other person pulled 5 stones, it wouldn't be the same message, because what you do is you have to factor in that alphabet accordingly, in accordance to that person's energy as well. And so it's an amazing, amazing, amazing science that is. And you can do it with the cards. You can also do it with runes. And I'm not saying that this is the be-all, end-all, but it's a really great place and a great venue through which you can build your psychic alphabet, your psychic vocabulary, and learn to speak spirit. And so it's 8:55. I think we have like 1 or 2 minutes to wrap this show up. But this has been one of my favorite shows. I love talking about this stuff, and I love teaching about this stuff. And I don't know all of you right now who are listening, but I can tell you that I'm so excited to have you begin to develop this alphabet, this language with your spirit guides, and if you already have one, add to it. I mean, come on, we have been, learning how to speak, we've learned how to talk since we were, 3, 4, 5 years old, and we keep literally reading books and studying and adding to our vocabulary, and it all starts out with the same 26 letters in the alphabet. And so what I do encourage you to do is, if you're just starting out, just dig in and practice, practice, practice. Use the cards, if you will. Any of the John Holland, Colette Baron-Reid's, Doreen Virtue's, all of those cards are amazing. I'm sure a lot of you have other cards that you really like. They're all helpful as long as you have that connection with them. Remember that one, that thing, that unspoken energy that grabs your attention. Okay, and also, pay attention to the signs and symbols that Spirit gives you in everyday life. Certain animals that you see, certain colors that you see, songs that come on the radio, and so on and so forth. So, it'll be fun. It'll be fun, and I would love to hear from you. So you can find me on Facebook, Allison Hayes /The Rock Girl, or you can go on to the Rock Girl Sacred Stone School Facebook page, or you can email us at info@therockgirl.com and let us know how your journey is going. Let us know how your development is going as far as speaking spirit, getting messages. Are you reading just for yourself? Are you reading for other people? I would love to hear about it. And don't forget, if you want to go on a really cool cruise, Passion and Purpose cruise, next March 15th. No, I think it's the 18th through the 25th. Yes, of 2018. Just go onto my website, click on the link, and then when you sign up, just tell them that the Rock Girl sent you. And as soon as you do that, email Marla, and we'll make sure to give you discounted services on stones and readings on the cruise. And if you don't have time to do it on the cruise, we can certainly, give you that discounted reading over the phone and that purchase over the phone after you come back from the cruise, because a lot of people were so busy on that cruise. They booked readings, but we ended up doing them afterwards because, there's just not enough time to sit down for an hour-long reading because there was so much to do. And it was really, really, really fun. But again, reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. Allison Hayes /The Rock Girl, The Rock Girl Sacred Stone School. Both of those are on Facebook. And you can go to my website, therockgirl.com, and you can also go to sacredstoneschool.com, sacredstoneschool.com, and sign up for my newsletter. And I promise you, I do not hit hard with that newsletter. It takes a lot of time to sit down and write them, and I'm lucky if I send one out once a month, but it is there to sign up for, and whenever there's like up-and-coming events or something new, as in news, I will send them out. But I'm not a solicitor, and I actually am too darn busy and too darn lazy to sit down and write one every single week. So if you do get a newsletter from me, it usually has some kind of up-and-coming events. And again, also on Allison Hay, actually, therockgirl.com, there's a new Legacy of the Soul community starting. So you can go on there and start up. We will be, sharing videos and audios and Sacred Stone sales on that group coming up in the next couple of months. And there's no charge. All you have to do is show up and be part of the group. And that way, when we do things, and again, I don't like to bombard people, but the people in the group will be offered, specials and things like that because they want them. And that's what you basically, that's basically what you're kind of signing up for when you sign up for the community. But the newsletter only goes out once a month. So anyway, folks, thank you so much. Have a beautiful evening. Be good to yourself and be good to your stones, and have a beautiful month. And I'll talk to you in June. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Be sure to tune in next week for more lively discussion topics. Have a great week, and don't forget to check out bestamericanpsychics.com in case you need some professional, ethical, and accurate psychic advice from the nation's best psychics. Until next week, take care of yourselves and one another.